You have spoken the decree. You have dropped the mass into the water. Yesterday, your voice carried the crushing, expansive weight of the Jupiter-Mercury trine. You informed the matrix of your new coordinates. You ordered the chaotic digital noise to freeze, and it obeyed. But the architecture of reality is not built on sound alone. Words command the blueprint, but energy builds the walls. Today is June 24th. The cosmic gears shift once again, moving from the realm of the mind into the visceral, heavy realm of physical thermodynamics. Look at the sovereign on your screen. Look at her hands. In her right hand, she holds Mars. It is the red plasma of pure, unfiltered kinetic energy. It is the masculine principle of the universe. It is action, penetration, effort, speed, and the strike of the hammer. It wants to burn. It wants to move. In her left hand, she holds Venus. It is the heavy, cold, flawless sapphire cube of pure magnetism. It is the feminine principle of the universe. It is gravity, reception, attraction, luxury, and absolute stillness. It wants to pull. It wants to consume. In the unawakened world, these two forces are at war. People either burn themselves to ash with Mars, or they stagnate into stone with Venus. But look at the sovereign. She is not torn between them. She is the master of both. With agonizing, perfect slowness, she brings her hands together. The red kinetic fire and the blue gravitational mass do not destroy each other. They merge at the center of her chest, creating a totally new, highly advanced element, kinetic magnetism. Today, the heavens mirror this exact alignment. Venus and Mars form a perfect 60-degree sextile. Action and attraction become one single unified mechanism. If you master the code of this convergence today, you will never need to hustle again. Before we can execute the protocol of the convergence, we must audit the disease of the extremes. Look at the background of the matrix. The masses are trapped in a terminal misunderstanding of how the universe generates wealth and power. On one side, you have the victims of toxic Mars. This is the cult of the hustle. These are the individuals who believe that reality only rewards blood, sweat, and exhaustion. They believe that if they are not suffering, they are not working. They force doors open with sheer brute strength. They chase clients. They send 100 desperate emails. They operate in a state of constant, panicked kinetic motion. What happens to them? Mars consumes them. They generate massive amounts of friction, but zero gravity. They burn out their adrenal glands. They destroy their nervous systems, and eventually, the matrix pushes back, crushing them under the equal and opposite reaction of their own desperate force. On the other side, you have the victims of toxic Venus. This is the cult of passive manifestation. These are the individuals who have misunderstood the laws of quantum physics. They sit on their couches, visualizing millions, chanting affirmations, refusing to lift a finger, waiting for the universe to simply drop an empire into their lap. They believe that taking action is a sign of low vibration. What happens to them? Venus suffocates them. They generate gravity, but they have no kinetic spark to ignite it. They become stagnant, heavy, and delusional. The doors of opportunity remain locked because they refuse to turn the handle. The sovereign rejects both of these diseases. The sovereign knows that forcing reality is a sign of weakness, but waiting for reality is a sign of impotence. Today, the cosmos forms a sextile. In esoteric geometry, a square is a wall you must punch through. A trine is a door that is already wide open. But a sextile is a locked door with the key already sitting in the keyhole. It requires a trigger. It requires a tiny, highly concentrated spark of kinetic energy to activate a massive gravitational reward. This is the physics of the minimum effective dose. When Mars and Venus harmonize, the universe demands that you work at the exact intersection of effort and relaxation. You must take action, but the action must be stripped of all anxiety, all desperation, and all excess force. It must be cold. It must be precise. It must be a single surgical strike of the hammer. Imagine a master watchmaker. He does not smash the gears into place with a sledgehammer. He uses a microscopic tool, applies a fraction of an ounce of kinetic pressure, and the intricate, complex machinery of the watch simply clicks into place, beginning to tick on its own. This is kinetic magnetism. You write the offer. That is Mars. You release it into the world and go to sleep, knowing the structure will pull the money in. That is Venus. You state your boundary to a toxic partner. That is Mars. You lean back in absolute silence and watch them either conform or disappear. That is Venus. You are no longer the engine that pulls the train. You are the spark that ignites the engine. Let us look at the tarot archetype for today's convergence, the Two of Wands. The wands represent fire, will, and dominion, but the number 2 represents duality, choice, and balance. The Two of Wands is the card of the sovereign standing at the edge of their castle, looking out at the world they are about to conquer. They have the power in their hands, but they are not running. They are standing still. They are holding the kinetic fire, but they are filtering it through the heavy gravity of their own physical body. Why does the sovereign in our visual merge these forces at the chest? Because the heart center is the ultimate alchemical crucible of the human biological machine. It is the bridge between the lower chakras of survival and action and the upper chakras of vision and intellect. If you act from the head alone, you will overthink, calculate out of fear, and lose your kinetic momentum. If you act from the gut alone, you will be impulsive, aggressive, and blind to the structural consequences. But when you merge action and magnetism in the center of your chest, you achieve the state of the unbothered sovereign. Your actions become ruthlessly efficient. You move slowly, but you arrive instantly. You do not sweat. You do not panic. You simply extend your hand, and the matrix bends to place the resource into your palm. How do you weaponize kinetic magnetism today? You must abandon your endless to-do lists. You must stop trying to manage every microscopic variable of your reality. Today, you execute the protocol of the single step. Rule 1. Identify the fulcrum. In physics, if you find the exact fulcrum point of a massive lever, you can move a mountain with a single finger. Look at your business. Look at your life. What is the one single action that has the most structural density? Not the busy work, not the 100 small tasks that make you feel productive. What is the one terrifying, heavy, precise action that will change the architecture of your week? Rule 2. Execute with cold Mars. Once you identify the fulcrum, you strike it. But you strike it without emotion. You do not pump yourself up. You do not need motivation. You pick up the phone, you send the contract, you initiate the difficult conversation, you apply the kinetic fire, but you keep your heart rate completely flat. Do not leak excess potential. Act with the cold, mechanical precision of an assassin. Rule 3. Instantly pivot to Venus. The second the action is complete, you must instantly drop the kinetic energy. This is where 99% of people fail. They send the email, and then they stare at their inbox, vibrating with anxiety, praying for a response. That is toxic Mars bleeding into the void. The moment the strike is made, You must violently shift into the heavy gravity of Venus. Lean back. Become heavy. Turn your attention elsewhere. The door has been unlocked. Now you must allow the universe the time and space to actually swing the door open. We must prepare you for the immediate consequence of this protocol. When you perfectly execute kinetic magnetism, the universe will respond with frightening speed. Because the sextile removes resistance, the resources, the clients, and the opportunities will begin to flow toward you almost instantly. And this is when the Matrix will attempt to trigger your final defense mechanism. Impostor syndrome. Your nervous system has been programmed to believe that money and power must be painful to acquire. When the wealth arrives easily, when the client says yes immediately, when the launch sells out without you having to scream on camera, your biological machine will panic. A voice in your head will say, "This was too easy. I didn't suffer enough for this. Something must be wrong. I must not deserve this." You will be tempted to sabotage the magnetism. You will be tempted to create an artificial crisis, just so you can feel the familiar burn of the hustle again. You will try to close the door. Do not close the door. Do not apologize for the ease of your victory. The ease is not a glitch. The ease is the proof that your architecture is finally correct. You are not being rewarded for your suffering. You are being rewarded for your alignment. You are being paid for the internal density you built during the heavy, silent weeks of early June. When the gold flows toward you today, do not step out of the way. Plant your feet. Let the wealth crash into your foundation. Accept the mass, action and attraction, fire and gravity, Mars and Venus. They are no longer separate within you. The war of the extremes is over. You no longer need to burn yourself alive to keep the engine running. And you no longer need to wait helplessly in the dark for a savior to arrive. You have become the seamless engine. You provide the spark. The matrix provides the fuel. You turn the key. The matrix opens the vault. You take the step. The matrix builds the bridge beneath your feet. Look at the reality in front of you today. Identify the locked door. Do not batter it down. Do not stare at it. Walk up to it. Insert the key of your kinetic intention. Turn it once, with absolute, cold precision. And then, step back. Step back into the silence. Step back into the heavy gravity of the sovereign. And let the universe do the heavy lifting. The convergence is complete. The magnetism is active. Now strike the match and watch the world catch fire.